thing come alive. You will too, whatever it is you're painting, you're gonna make it come alive. And if you can't do it right away, that's alright. You just keep working at it till you do. Till you get to a point that you're happy with what you got. You know? Now there is such a thing as overworking a painting. It's something else. So basically, what that means if you're overworking something is you put in so much paint that it's starting to look clumpy, right? It's not flat anymore in terms of not dimensionality, but the actual paint on the canvas. You know, it's not looking like you took a brush to it, but more like you took a palette knife and just smeared a bunch of paint on, right? Now, if you're using a palette knife, then that's the effect you're looking for. Then that's what you want. Okay, we're not working that on this video. We'll do that on another one. And honestly, palette knives are, they're great tools for doing certain applications. But with small paintings, it's very hard to get a feel of realism when you're using a palette knife. You can get that on big paintings. When people are staring at them from far away, and you just smear on, lump of white over a color and shows a highlight. And you get real close, you can definitely tell that's been, just globbed on with a palette knife. But from far away, it looks like a light reflection and stuff. So we'll talk about that on another time, another painting instruction video. All right, definitely need more paint. Definitely need more paint. Bold green, bold yellow, more yellow, some more yellow. There we go. Touch of white. Great. What does white do? Gives you opaqueness. Makes things opaque. Which means it makes it a solid color. Right? Cover it up. That's what you're doing. Titanium white helps it cover up either the canvas or a particular color. That's what it does. It's a thicker paint. Okay, I'm going to add some shading to it. So for that, we go with the darker green. We'll start with that. Some water, blend it through. A little darker green. There we go. Put some definition in these bad boys, huh? There. Define it here. Put some definition over here. Yeah, I'm gonna add some more dark. Uh-oh. Hey, I didn't check my brush before I laid paint. Now I got a glop. And then I gotta pull that glop up. I'll just put it up somewhere else. Actually paint somewhere else. finer. When you get really good with a finer liner brush, you know, you really know how to use just the tip of the bristles. Do certain things. Right. Right now, I'm just gonna keep working this. That's water. Back into that area there and pull that paint up. Looking around a little. Okay. Brush really good. Start brushing away that glop. So it's not going to be looking all chudded. Yeah, you young ones, you know what chudded is, don't you? You know that term. Parents probably don't know what chudded means, but you kids know what chudded means. It means it's damaged. Damaged goods, been ruined, been chudded, scored. Gotta fix it and grind it up. Grind it up and spat out. Alright, make sure I'm showing the stock. It's down really good. Right. Clean up that brush with that chudded section a little more. Pull away that excess paint. Now, find yourself where the paint's not pulling up just from the wet brush. You know, you can use the hard edge of the metal clasp there, bristle clasp, kind of. You know, you don't want to scrape too hard. You know, but it'll pull up any paint that's dried. You know, along with the wet bristles, keep it wet. You'll pull that up. You know, when you're dealing with paint that's really thick, you know, like Jenkins green or Hooker's green, yeah. So you know, those are really thick paints, so they're gonna dry a little faster or adhere to the canvas a little more than some of the other paints will. So you can use that rough edge, you know, the hardened edge, I should say, of the clasp on the brush. You want to kind of pull that off. But you don't want to scratch it, you know, you're just trying to almost rub it, right? So you gotta, you know, be really careful when you do it, right? You don't want to just be like gouging through the canvas, because then you're gonna end up tearing it up, and you don't want to do that either. You know. Keep going. So these greens, they're really thick. You know, the greens are really thick paints here, especially the phthalo green. You know, that's a really thick paint. So it just takes more water to keep it, you know, workable. You can brush it on. You know, you'll find what that consistency is when you're working with it. You know, and I can sit here and talk about it all day long. It ain't gonna mean nothing until you actually start working with it, right? So just a note there to think about. You know, everything I'm saying here, you know, just kind of advice, really, you know, what to do. You know, and you're not really gonna fully grasp what I'm saying in terms of the effects and everything of what I'm talking about until you start doing it yourself. Starts feeling the paint, seeing what it's really doing on its own, right? Okay. Alright, I'm gonna deal with the dirt. Got the dirt in the pot there, so I'll just put some dirt in there. You know. Alright. Clean that up. Go back to the black. Some gray. Better define the back edge of the pot, plant pot there. Get underneath that little lip for drop shadow. Yeah, that's a term, drop shadow. So what a drop shadow is you know, you have an object, and that object's gonna have a shadow to it, you know. So it's a term used is called drop shadow when you're doing artwork, you know, because the shadow dropped on the behind it or you know on a different part of the object, you know. You know, you have a shadow of the surface, but then if there's a certain, you know, the surface behind it, you know, that shadow from your, like the bottle here, right? There'll be a drop shadow on the cloth, the yellow cloth from the bottle, versus the shadow of the bottle, you know, the shadow, the darker surfaces of the bottle. So that's what a drop shadow is, you know, it's a shadow created by an object onto another object, or it's a section of an object where it creates a drop shadow on another section of an object. So like the pot of the plant, you know, the top part here is wider than the bottom part, and then that wider part has a shadow under it onto the smaller part. And that shadow on the smaller part is the drop shadow. All right. Let's go to the bowl, right? Steve's little chair. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the angle brush, put a base down, right? Wet it up a little bit. Grab some red. Grab a little bit of red orange. Mix that up. We'll go ahead and throw that on real fast. Right. Throw the inside too. Yeah. Sure I'm being thorough in my surface areas. And I got here. Okay. So I got the base down. You know, let that dry. Alright, so while I'm at it, make sure it's clean. Okay. While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and do the yellow background. Alright, because we're almost there. We're almost there, everybody. We're going to start off with the light yellow. Make sure I'm not touching the green. Don't want to touch the green. Right? Roll that over, just grab the yellow, okay, and I'm going to wet it down. I'm going to use the clean water to wet it down. I'm just going to throw it in there. Alright, so now I'm just throwing in some highlights, right? So all I'm doing is putting in some highlights, okay? I'm going to leave the outer edge actually white. Just going to leave it the color of the canvas, right? Much as I can. Now what am I doing here? I am not bringing the yellow to the objects. You know, I'm not bringing the yellow all the way to the edge of the bottle or anything else. Why? Because that's what I was talking about before. Light reflection, right? So light is light is surrounding everything else, right? So I want to show those light reflections by not painting that part of the canvas, right? Now, there's different ways you can do it, obviously, you know, but in terms of how I'm doing it this time around, I'm going to go real close up here, okay, but how I'm doing it this time around is only giving suggestions of the yellow blanket, right? That there's something behind the still life. Okay. I'm not emphasizing it, making it a primary part of the overall piece, because then that will take away from the three-dimensionality of it all, okay? Now I'm going to do that mostly around the vertical part. When I get to the ground portion, the horizontal, then I'm going to get a little more define and richness of color, right? I'm going to use, I'll have more of the true, it'll be less transparent. That's really what I'm trying to say. Be less transparent, the section of the blanket that's on the floor, right? But the section that's going up, I want to make that just pretty transparent and really light, okay? Because I'm not really trying to show that emphasis so much. I will show the drop shadow that Steve and the bottle and everything else has created just a little bit, and I'll have a little bit of indication on some of the folds, right? Like this fold here, I'm going to go ahead and throw a little darker yellow on, And there's one over here, and then we got here too, right? But I'm not trying to make it really pop, right? So you can see that? It's really coming out, right? And I just did it lightly. Now when I get to the foreground, that's the foreground, this is the background, right? The foreground is actually in front of the subject, okay? When I get to that area, then I'm really going to show some more richness of color, the true hue, okay? So we'll bring that out. I'm still going to have that reflection of light popping off subject matter, but the color is going to be more opaque and less transparent, okay? And that's how I'm going to make that work. And add a little more water. So if you look at like in front of the ball, the blanket's actually, there's parts of the blanket that are actually in front of the ball. So I want to make sure that really represents proper, and it looks like that, versus the part of the blanket that's behind the ball. I'm going to have that small space, where the canvas shows through, and then, as an indication of light reflection. All right, and you'll see when I get to that point what it's going to look like. going to happen is water, brush off some of the water. You know, the bigger the brush, the more water it's going to absorb. So, you know, you're going to definitely want to brush off some of that water before you mix it with the paint and put it on the canvas, because you don't want it to be too wet. It's going to be too liquefied, you know, and everything. But you know, the foreground part, it's on the floor. That's in front of these objects. You know, it's folded up in front, like say the ball here. You know, the light will actually reflect off of the blanket versus off of the ball, right? So I want to make sure that the yellow goes up to the surface of the ball there versus in the background where I don't have the yellow coming to the surfaces of like Steve or the bottle, right? So that helps to show that dimensionality, 3D, you know. So this is all stuff you kind of, you know, you learn all this stuff when you're working it and you get more experience and all that uh, that goodness you get from playing around with art and paints and seeing what's going on with color and light, you know. People don't think about this stuff. They just think, oh yeah, that's awesome. You just whip that out, you know. They don't realize how much thought process is actually involved with making, you know, halfway decent looking piece of artwork, right? Especially when you're trying to make it look realistic. Now, the further down I come to the edge of the canvas, now I'm just going to get lighter, you know, because I don't want to bring it all the way to the edge. I want to have some kind of uniformity on my boarding, right? So I brought the yellow all the way down, you know, and then I had it just washed up on around the sides and the top, and it's going to be bottom heavy, you know, and that's a composition issue, right? So that's something else to think about, right? Like, what is my border going to do all the way around, you know? What's going to make this look good? Now, I'm going to keep working this after the video and stuff, and then I'll take a screenshot at the very end when I'm done and whatnot. But all of the canvas area, I'm actually going to go back over with titanium white, because like I said, the white is much brighter than the pre-adjustable canvas, you know. But I'm going to have it be all blended real proper, you know, so you still have that wash look to it, right? That fading to it and stuff. But yeah, that's important, you know. So another thing too is, you know, I mean, yeah, I went over the pencils with you know, pencil lines prior and stuff, but it's, you know, they still show through because I'm just using light colors in these areas. So, you know, I'll go back over with the white, you know, on that and really cover it up good, cover the pencils up good. And then I'll come back over with the color some more, you know, to help give it more depth, you know, and show some folds, you know, where lights, where shading is and where there's light reflecting. Okay, so I'm going to be done with the yellow for now, right? I'm going to go back to some of the subject matter, okay? Might as well just go back to the bowl, right? I'm going to grab my liner brush, wherever I put that thing. Hello, liner brush, here you are. I got my liner brush. Okay, I'm gonna wet it down. Grab some red, grab the red. Really get into defining those edges, right? Yeah. That's water. Everybody having fun? Hope so. Hope you're really enjoying this video. I am. I'm enjoying this a lot. You know, and I'm really looking forward to doing a lot more of these in the future. I'm going to try to not make them as long. This one's a long one. You know, it's really involved. This is my, this really is my first instruction video ever. So, you know, I'm learning how to do this process just as much as you're learning how to paint a still life. So, you know, like I said, art's all about a learning process. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, you're always learning from it. You know, always challenge yourself, right? It doesn't matter if you go back to the basics either. You know, it really doesn't. I go back to simple basic sketching all the time, right? Just to make sure that my skills are up on a level I'm satisfied with, you know, and everything. That's really important, right? You always got to go back to basics, always. You know, that's how you maintain your growth and your getting on more advanced levels on doing stuff, experimenting. You know, so yeah, if I'm gonna do human figure drawing, you know, I want to make sure that my proportions are all right. And drawing human figure proportions, that's the first thing you learn when you're doing human figures. You know, is to make sure your proportions are right. You know, and I'll go through that in one of my illustration videos. You know, and stuff. You don't want to have too big of a head with a tiny body. You know, if you're trying to show realism. You know, if you want too big of a head, then you know that you get into like abstract or something like that. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what you're trying to go for. But if you're trying to go for realism, then yeah, you got to make sure your proportions are right. Okay, I need more paint. More paint. Always more paint. Okay, I'm going to get into some darker tones here. Give it some depth. Oh yeah, so red. If I want to show shadows of red, what color do I pick? What color do I pick? What is the complementary color of red? Look at your color wheel if you got it. Yeah, you guessed green. You were right. I'm gonna add a little bit of green, right, to my red. I'm gonna get a real dark red. I'm gonna get. Okay, I'm gonna add that. Get my depth going. Show some shadow. Okay, alright. Do it around there too. Okay. And let's get the base. Some more shadow on the base. Okay. Bring it around a little more. There we go. There we go. Alright. Now I got the tray. Yeah. Tray is definitely like an auburn, dirty orange kind of. Red orange for sure. Now here's the problem though, I can't, you know, I got the red of the bowl, the shadow of the bowl, right? I want to make sure that my tray, this is where color matching comes really important. Okay. I'm gonna add in some yellow ochre on that. Okay, differentiate the two. Add a little more. Make sure there's good color separation there between the two objects. We'll get in a touch of Van Dyke red, right? Alright, let's draw in the tray. Okay, we'll let that down a little. Alright. check out my brush, good to go. You know, the more you use your brushes and stuff like that, the more you paint, the more you can be certain that you know your form is proper on your brush and all that good stuff. Okay, so with the tray, you know, this little tray here. Now we're getting into 2-point perspective, right? So it's where it goes from thin to wide. Closer it gets to me, the wider that line's gonna be, right? On the tray. Okay. And then on the back angles, right? Same deal. Whatever's closer to me, even though it's going in a different direction, is going to be wider than it is as it goes away, right? And that gives you dimensionality, 3D effect. Okay. Alright, we're going to need a little more orange on there. Make sure I got proper color separation between the bowl and the tray, right? And it'll be easy to show it better once I'm done doing this part of it. I'm going to go back to the bowl and add more shadow, darker shadow to that edge. Add more green, so it'll really separate the two. Alright. Definitely need more orange on that tray. Definitely more orange. Okay. I'm going to do the inside of the tray. Alright. Lightly go over. Now here I can use scratching technique. So it shows a differentiation between the flat surface of the tray, the inside of the tray, and the outer edge, right? To do that, it's just a technique, you know, to how to change the colors, you know, show different parts of the tray. And it'll be lighter. That's the other part too. Is the flat surface of the tray, inside of the tray, is going to be lighter than the edges because the edges are on a downward inside angle, so they're not getting as much light as the inside of the tray. Of course, I have to put in a drop shadow where the pot is, right? Don't have to be much, just something, some kind of indicator. Darker color with red to indicate the drop shadow. Right. gap in there, and I can fill that in now that the plant's done. That's relatively easy to do. It's not too difficult, right? You just take the colors I used earlier and just throw that in there. So let's go on back to the bowl. Make sure I got a good separation there. So I had the red, take that, and took some green, mixed it with the red. We have more red. Okay, now I got a good shadow color for the bowl. Make sure I'm throwing that in there. Right. There we go. Right. Separation, dimensionality. Okay, let's go back to the bottle real fast. We'll take dark colors, greens. What colors you use? Greens. Add some of the olive green in there. Right. Make sure you got that consistency going. Add some blue in there. Add some of that red. A touch of purple. Remember the purple, right? So remember what colors you use for certain objects and stuff, because when you got to go back to it, if you don't remember those colors, well, you're gonna have a hard time finding that consistency that I've been talking about. Now sometimes, that's why I separate the paints I'm using from the paints I have. That way I know what I got on my palette for whatever piece of art I'm working on. And if you're not certain, what colors you got going on for certain parts of the painting, just write them down. Till you start remembering them, by heart. Just write them down. Nothing wrong with that. Especially if you're doing something for a client, right? You want it to be the best piece of artwork you can give them. Write that stuff down. Okay. If you don't, then you're gonna, there'll be something off. You might not be sure what it is. There'll be something off. Now, one thing that's really important, I didn't mention before. Well, I kind of did. When you take a break, if you feel like you got to take a break because things aren't just working out or whatever, step away from your painting. Look at it from 5 feet away. Right? Look at the piece as a whole from 5 feet away. Because you spend so much time just focusing on certain sections, you forget to look at the big picture. Right? Always want to, maybe every 20 minutes or so, right, look at the big picture. Okay? So you get used to it, to where you can sit here and